Okay, so this was a highly emotional episode as we dive deeper into Kanami's backstory, exploring bonds between sisters, and a mad scientist appears. Hello everyone and welcome to Dueling with Downton, and today we're talking all things episode 3 of the Cardfight Vanguard Divinez Parallactic Clash. Yes, I know, I'm very late to the party on this one. And I think the season may already be over, but that doesn't stop us from talking about these episodes. Kanami versus Masanori. This is an angle and fight that I absolutely appreciated. So let's start with why Masanori was the perfect opponent for this episode. We've seen his interactions with others. Yes, he's been a thorn in our hero's side throughout the entirety of his introduction. But he's always been a responsible and reliable person. But the idea of death and resurrection has always been a theme with his deck and character. And in Divinez, we've seen his connections with himself and Shingi, and it being the unfortunate situation that it is. Now, it was unfortunate seeing that Shingi isn't in this parallactic world, but the driving factor for Masanori's goals is getting his friend back. So it's normal to see why Masanori is confused as to why Kanami doesn't want to stay here in a new world where her sister is still alive. Which I thought was a nice sort of concept to add in, because obviously we know that Kurumi is dead in the normal world. So then why is her sister trying to get back? So this has now become a tale between someone being able to say goodbye and move forward and someone who couldn't. So why is Kanami fighting to return to a world where her sister is not alive? That's because of a promise made to her sister to reach the top of card fighting and win the deluxe tournament. A promise made in the real world, not in this fake one. Now, the promise was to fight each other on the biggest stage and race to the top. But the most important part of that promise, and the reason as to why it needs to be in the original world, is because of the struggles that both characters faced in order to move forward with that goal. The fight, the hardship, the pain in the original world was real, and staying in this fake world would be a disrespect to all the Kanami's and Kurumi's efforts in fighting her illness for as long as she did. Another thing that I loved about this episode was the fact that they're clearly setting up for a Kurumi versus Kanami showdown. And if I'm honest, if someone has to defeat Kurumi, I want it to be Kanami, as this would be more emotional than having Akina defeat her. Seeing the flashbacks of Kurumi's time in the hospital was so sad. And then we see her not wanting to die, and Kanami's reaction was heartbreaking. I wasn't prepared for all of this emotion, yet it makes the motivations of the characters involved even more understandable and passionate, and gets you as the viewer more invested in watching their progression. Now back to Masanori. Seeing him in this episode was just a laugh. I didn't think it was possible, but Phantom Masanori was more crazier than the normal version we're used to. However, we all loved it. Seeing him play Brandgate was a bit of fun, monsters being more cybernetic and gooey in the test tubes, kind of fitting in with that theme of the scientist that he has going on. Where learning that Kanami is playing Sokia was kind of cool too, and I love seeing the magical mage elements and the archetype with her ace monster, Beatrice? It looks like something straight out of an anime. Her mystique look was really cool. Now I did like the little kind of similarities in design wise between her monsters and Kagetsu's monsters. I know it was meant to be a connection to the moon, but I was hoping for something a little more different, yet the kind of connections does help to refer them back to being student and teacher, as well as we know they are cousins. Now, my only criticism of this deck was the ultimate magic order that she used. It just makes it so that she didn't lose a drive check. Now, this could have been much more overpowered, considering it was meant to be an ultimate attack of her monster. But hopefully she does get an upgrade later on, because I feel like if she's going into more difficult fights, and this is her ace in the hole to pull out to win, she's gonna get stomped. Overall, this episode was awesome. It was emotional, it was great for character building, and I love seeing all the connections unfold and intertwine. The new units were great too, and I can't wait to see how we are moving forward with this plot. So, let's dive straight in to episode 4. Hope you've enjoyed this review. I know it's late and apologies once again, but it's nice to see you. Have a great day. Alligator, matane. Goodbye.